Clowns. Welcome to Crimenelia Street. I'm Tori.
I'm Sam.
And Sam's sign-in name today is Childless Cat Lady, and I think we can all appreciate that. I personally love it.
Thank you. I actually did switch it around, though. It's Catless Child Lady.
That is a great example of my dyslexia. A showcase.
Well, hey, it's all good. And it brings us to the point. I mean, I don't have a cat, unfortunately. Not that I don't want one. It's just we don't have one at the moment. I do have a child.
So I should have known, honestly, that it wasn't childless. No, it's fine. That's great, though. It's ingenuitive. Ingenuitive, is that a word?
I think so.
It feels right.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
It feels right and wrong at the same time. No, I love it, though. That's great.
Thanks.
Clever.
And yours is Too Quiet for Comfort.
And that's just referring to what's Taylor up to. It's been quiet. We're not even seeing... I mean, we're not getting that many even shots of her bopping around New York or anything. Like, what's her girl up to? She's probably honestly just, like, relaxing.
Right.
Much deserved. Much deserved.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the most exciting thing we've gotten recently is that necklace that she was wearing that had the 12 on it.
Oh, I don't think I really delved into that. I did see, like, something really quick, like a picture on Instagram or something, but I wasn't sure if it was even recent.
Yeah, I think it was maybe from last weekend.
Okay.
And she was out oot and a boot with Gigi Hadid. And yeah, she was wearing a necklace that said 12. And it's like, girl, do not do this to us. What does this mean?
Well, 12 December.
Exactly. And it's like December 13th.
For sure.
Hello. So I feel like, yeah, I agree. It is way too quiet in the Swiftyverse at the moment. Something's brewing.
It's almost giving no explanation.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes.
I just can't let it go. But stay tuned for more clowning at the end. What's going on this week for me? I just got double vaccinated in one arm, and it's feeling heavy. It's feeling a little ouch. Yeah, it was a couple hours ago, and we're already getting this set in. I play disc golf, though, so I didn't want to mess up the throwing arm, so I said put them both in the left arm.
Of course. Which ones did you get?
Flu and COVID.
Good ones to get.
I used to never get the flu, but, like, once I had a kid, I'm like, he's been sick once, and, like, it shattered my world, and I just can't be the one who causes it. Like, I know he's gonna get sick, and I'm okay with that. It's good for him, honestly, but I don't want to be the cause of it. So.
Oh, absolutely. I totally get that. I actually realized that I fell victim to anti-vax rhetoric because I would also never get the flu vaccine, but because I saw this news report when I was literally like 12 of I'm laughing, it's not funny, but this lady who said that she got the flu vaccine, and afterwards, like, when she would walk, it would be really jerky, crazy, like, movements, and the only time she could walk normal is if she was walking backwards, or, like, and, like, to go up the stairs, she would have to go up the stairs backwards and stuff, otherwise she would, like, fall and hurt herself. And she said that it happened right after that she got the flu vaccine, and then, so I was like, that's going to happen to me because, I, like, catastrophize things. And I just believed it for all these years. And apparently, like, she was, like, making it up.
Oh. Well, that is kind of more believable, though, isn't it? In hindsight, obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
My frontal lobe developed a bit more, and I looked into it. And, yeah. Oof. It's just not.
Well, shoot.
Oops.
Yeah, I was one of those ones that was like, well, I never get it, so why would I get the flu? Like, I never get the flu. Why would I get the flu vaccine? But it's just kind of a silly way to think, too. It's like, what does it hurt? Just get it.
For sure. For sure.
What's going on for you this week?
Not too much. I'm planning my daughter's 3rd birthday party.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, it's really weird to say that, but I don't know what possessed me to do this, but I'm like, I'm going to make her cake this year. And Pinterest got me. I am still on Pinterest, and I wanted to do like a cookie cake, but in the shape of the number 3. And there's like all these cool designs. It's going to be mermaid themed. So I have all these plans, and I feel like I'm setting myself up, but I'm going to make a practice cake this weekend.
That's the way to go.
Right. And bonus points, we get to eat the cookie cake.
You have to make sure it tastes good too.
Exactly.
Right.
So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing. And school.
Fun.
School's starting up, so.
Boo.
Yeah.
I mean, school's great, but just like boo to have to do it. Yeah. Also going on this week, man, all this shit is coming out about P. Diddy. Pretty much everyone we've ever looked up to is involved with it. And then Justin Bieber, too.
Poor Justin Bieber. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you see all the videos of him interacting with P. Diddy and stuff, and like, hindsight is 2020, I guess. And like, I've also seen clips of like weird ways that he's been treated in the media, like Jenny McCarthy, like on stage at an award show, like grabbed him and kissed his neck and stuff, and he's like, I feel violated, and he's like kind of laughing it off, but like he's saying it. And then like, I think it was Rachel Ray was like, oh, would you rather eat a can of cold beans or perform naked on stage? And he's like, well, I have little girls as my fans, so I don't know if it was a can of cold beans, but it was something like that.
Right. Yeah. And he's like, as a 15-year-old, being like the voice of reason to these fucking adults who are putting him in super weird position. It's disgusting.
You know, Ashton Kutcher, it's reported that Mila Kunis has like moved out of their home, and like there's like rumors of divorce. And there was like these clips of Ashton Kutcher like on Hot Ones, the like wing challenge interview show, where they ask him about the Diddy parties, and he's like, he starts to say something, he's like, oh man, I can't tell you that, and then he starts to say something else, he's like, oh, I can't say that either. And like, they were very close. And I mean, they defended Danny Masterson, so
ew.
It's just like birds of a feather, dude. You're not denying he did that. You're just saying, no, he's just a really good person, though.
Right. Like, and then, like, Ashton and Mila did that, like, apology video, too. That was just so scripted and, like, ingenuine feeling. Ugh.
Right,
whole thing stinks. It's terrifying. It's like, we don't need these Illuminati conspiracies. Like, that is... Hollywood is disgusting enough. Like... It's crazy.
For sure.
Wow. Should we go from the sad stuff to the sad stuff?
Right. Yeah. This is this is a story, but this will this all takes place kind of in the 70s, very early 80s. Actually, just 1980, really. But it is about the murder of a woman named Betty Gore. She was born Betty Pomeroy on January the 9th, 1950, in a small town in Kansas called Norwich. And she was known for being pretty shy, and she had dreamed of becoming a school teacher. She went to Southwestern College, which is a United Methodist affiliated school in Winfield, Kansas. And that's where she met her math teacher named Alan Gore. And they quickly fell in love and decided to get married in 1970. Different times, because no one blinked an eye at this.
Okay, and this is a professor in college.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly how much older he was. I think it's just a few years, so not a huge deal, but still, I don't think most colleges nowadays would be happy about a professor marrying a student of his.
I think it's frowned upon. Like, I don't think it's, like, totally not allowed. but I think it's not well looked upon.
Right. It would raise some eyebrows.
For sure, yeah. And you said they got married in 1970?
Yes, 1970. And it was noted by her friends and family. No one was surprised that Alan fell in love with Betty. However, her friends and family were surprised that she fell in love with him because he was described as kind of plain. He already had a receding hairline, which, like, no, like, hate. Like, we can't help these things, but he wore like really thick glasses, and he had kind of puffy cheeks, and
I feel like in that time too, like, it was more expected that people stay within their attractiveness levels or whatever, you know, like, it, not that that's the right thing, but I feel like it was just kind of the norm back then.
For sure, absolutely. So yeah, they were a little surprised, but they seemed happy together. So they said go for it, of course. The parents gave them their blessing. So they began their lives together, and they, after a series of moves around Kansas and New Mexico, they eventually settled in Wiley, Texas, which is a suburb of Dallas. And during that time, Betty gave birth to their daughter, Alyssa. She unfortunately struggled pretty badly with postpartum depression, and also Alan's job, he was an electrical engineer. It required him to travel frequently, which really made things worse. She hated it when he would go on these trips. She didn't like being alone because they were moving around a lot, so she never was able to settle in socially. She didn't have a lot of friends, and she was already pretty shy, and on top of it, she was going through postpartum depression pretty badly, and that in and of itself is
I mean, just postpartum in general, I personally was so hormonal. Like, emotions just all over the place. And I don't really get PMS much. But yeah, that was a roller coaster for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So I can only imagine with your partner, like, being in and out a lot.
They lived pretty modestly. They did well for themselves. But I don't think it would be enough money for it to, like, justify him being gone all the time. She always kind of saw it as his job, kind of taking advantage of him in a sense. She would often say, how could they send, like, a father and a husband out on the road like this all the time? And she would even call his work and, like, berate his boss. And so he'd just be kind of, like, embarrassed about it.
It's giving Hamilton. Have you seen Hamilton?
I haven't. No.
At one point, Hamilton's wife, like, calls George Washington, and she's like, I'm pregnant, like, just send him home.
Oh, nice. There you go. Yeah. Giving Hamilton then, for sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they settled in Wiley, Texas. She began teaching at an elementary school, but she did find it difficult to balance dealing with students and then coming home, like picking her daughter up from daycare, coming home to an empty house with Alan not there. And also moving to a new town where you don't know anybody can be super tough in general, but thankfully this time they started going to this local church called the First United Methodist Church of Lucas, Texas, which was another city in the Dallas area, where they started to regularly attend. They participated in the choir together. There was Vacation Bible School in the summer, which, if you don't know, is kind of like a summer camp for kids. So
yeah, they were doing it, or they were, like, teaching it?
They would participate. Like, Betty would, because the moms would come together, they would, like, make food for the kids and stuff like that.
So it gave her, like, a social outlet.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
And Alan was also a member of the church volleyball team.
Ooh,
which was quite competitive, I hear.
Oh, wow.
Right. You never know. And the Gore family started to become close friends with another family at the church, the Montgomerys. There was Pat, the husband, and Candy, the wife. And they became especially close with them because they had a daughter who was also the same age. So they would often sleep over at each other's houses. And, of course, they would see them at church every week and things like that. So it was said that Betty was still pretty shy. She felt still like an outsider, but Candy was someone that she felt was like her friend and she could talk to her. And also Pat, the husband, was in the same career field as Alan Gore was. He was also an electrical engineer, so they kind of had that in common as well. So just as time goes on, Betty is still battling depression and just growing resentment towards Alan for still going on these business trips. It's just kind of building. At the time, he was working for a company called Rockwell International, which was an electronics, and it was also a major defense contracting company. So it was like kind of serious business. Like if something was going wrong, especially because it was like a defense contracting situation, he had to go. But he did try to stop leaving so much. He worked his way up and things like that. But anyway. So all throughout this, Betty did want to have a second child, and she began planning the pregnancy so that the baby would be born in the summer so she wouldn't have to take time off teaching. And Alan had said that just like the strict planning of it, combined with Betty always seeming unhappy for one reason or another, who can kind of blame her, led to him also growing a bit resentful of Betty. It kind of seemed like
they're growing apart.
Right, exactly. But she's like, okay, it's 1 p.m. and I'm ovulating, let's go. And it just seemed like this clinical kind of sex situation.
Right.
But she did soon find herself pregnant again, and she was excited, but she was also very afraid of postpartum depression. I believe Alyssa was around 7 at this time. Yeah, and of course, also this was the 70s, so mental health was not taken as seriously as it should have. Like, I feel like it's a little bit better now, for sure.
They asked me, they honestly freaked me out so much about it. Because they ask you, 2 times an appointment before you even, give birth now. But it's smart. They give you, all the resources and stuff so that when and if it happens, you have places to go to.
Absolutely. And it's cool because now we're learning, it's not just postpartum depression, it's postpartum PPA, postpartum anxiety, PPOCD, which
that's
happened to me. Yeah. Woohoo! No, just kidding.
PPOCD buddies.
Yeah.
But no, it does help to know what it is. It makes more sense than PPD,
Exactly. Yep. Absolutely. So we're definitely lucky to be in this age
for sure
nowadays, because I have a feeling in the 70s I'd be sent away.
Hysterical.
Right. Okay, so in the summer of 1979 she gave birth to a baby girl named Bethany, and things kind of continued as normal. Alan was still leaving occasionally for work, but to help ease Betty's worries, he started to call very frequently. Like, he would call when he got to the airport. He would call when he, landed. He would call when he got to the hotel, checked in. So it seemed like he was really trying. Him checking in and calling all the time really just helped Betty just feel not so alone. So that did help her a lot.
Okay.
And at some point after the birth of Bethany, to help their marriage out, they actually went on a marriage retreat together. It was sponsored by their church. It was called Marriage Encounter. And this actually they thought it was kind of cheesy at first, but at the end of the day, it brought them closer. And it was the first time since having kids that they spent some alone time together. So that kind of sparked things a little bit. Things seemed to be kind of improving after this marriage retreat. So that was in 1979. And then on the morning of Friday, June the 13th, 1980, Alan Gore had to leave for a work trip for the weekend, and he assured Betty that he would be home on Sunday, and that after that, the two of them had been planning to take a second honeymoon to Switzerland. So they were also just very excited about that. So she was like, okay. But she was still like mad that he was leaving, especially before this trip, because she wanted to have him there just to pack and all that. Also, she was worried about being pregnant again because her period was 2 weeks late. So she was kind of freaking out because she did not want to have another child because, once again, actually the postpartum depression was worse this time around. It was even worse. So she was like, I'm freaking out. So they kind of got into like a little tiff about that. He was like, I don't think you're pregnant. Like, stop.
Oh.
Like, you're freaking yourself. Yeah. You're freaking yourself out. He was like very annoyed that she was this upset. And
Ew.
he's like, dude, we're literally going to Europe in a couple days. Like, chill.
Don't worry about this possible life form erupting from your body.
Exactly. And bye. I'm going to be gone for a few days.
Yeah.
So
figure it out. Suck it up, honey.
But, you know, it was what it was. Now, their older daughter, Alyssa, was actually at a sleepover at the Montgomery house that weekend as well. So Alan asked Betty to give her a hug goodbye. And with that, he kissed Betty and their now 11-month-old daughter, Bethany, and he left for the airport. Once he checked into his hotel that afternoon, he gave Betty a call at home. However, there was no answer. He tried again and again with no success. And he was starting to get a little worried. It was just very unlike Betty to not answer and also not be at home. She really didn't go anywhere. And while she was friends with the Montgomerys, it wasn't like that. Like, they were cordial and friendly with each other. They weren't hanging out all the time. You know?
Okay.
So he figured he would call Candy since Alyssa was over there and ask if she had seen her that day. And Candy said that she stopped by around 10 a.m. to pick up Alyssa's bathing suit for her swim practice, as she was also sleeping over Saturday night as well, and she would have to take her in the morning. And Candy said that Betty seemed fine. She seemed a little hurried and was in the middle of sewing something. They chatted for a little bit and set up plans to drop Alyssa off on Sunday, and she left. So Alan continued trying to reach out to Betty at the house with no luck. He started to call their neighbors across the street and next door, asking them to check on her. One neighbor named Richard, he was across the street, said he peeked in the garage and noticed that one of their cars were missing and said, oh, well, she must be out. But Alan was like, that's weird, because once again, she never leaves. But he started to call the hospitals. He's even called the police, trying to locate his wife and his infant daughter, with no luck. He started to call his neighbors once again. It was much later on in the evening at that point. Richard went back to look in the garage, and I guess he just looked a bit closer, and he did see both vehicles in there, and he didn't see anyone drive up or anything. So he went back to the phone and told Alan that, oh, I actually do see both cars there. I'm sorry, I didn't look properly last time. And so at this point, Alan was panicking. And he was like, please just get into that house by whatever means necessary. I don't care if you have to break the windows, break the doors, whatever. Right. So Richard actually was the one who had sold the house to the Gores, and so he did still have some realtor keys that he could try. So he went back, and he was actually joined by the two next door neighbors because Alan had also been calling them at the same time. So I'm sure
they're kind of freaked out too going in there.
Right, exactly. And one of the neighbors even said like, I kind of have a weird feeling about this.
Yeah.
So they tried to open the garage door, but it was locked. And then they tried to do the front door, and they found it unlocked. And so they cautiously went inside. Nothing seemed off in the living room. However, in the bathroom, they found blood dripping down the shower walls. And the shower mat was like wet with blood.
Oh, gosh.
They heard a faint cry, and they found baby Bethany in her crib. She was covered in her own feces, and her sweet little voice was hoarse from, like, crying so much.
Oh, my God.
Which, like, when I read that broke my heart, dude.
That is horrific.
Because,
yeah, it's...
yeah.
Poor little...
So she had been left in there for some time, but she was alive. So Richard was like, okay, something is horribly wrong here. So he scooped Bethany up and ran back to his house to give Bethany to his wife and was like, you need to call the police and tell them to get over here, please. And so he went back. So they're looking, the three neighbors are looking around the house. They found nothing in the rest of the rooms. And then they noticed that the door to the utility room was closed. What they saw when they opened the door was horrific. Betty was lying on her back, clearly deceased. There was thick congealed blood that was pooling all around her. Blood was spattered all over the walls, and her face was not recognizable.
Oh, my God.
They could only bear to look for a few moments before they had to just shut the door because it was too much.
For sure, yeah.
So they had just assumed that Betty either shot herself or someone shot her with a shotgun because her head and her body were just so badly mutilated. At that point, the house phone rang, and it was Alan. I guess he just assumed since they hadn't heard back that they were in the house, and they had to give him the unfortunate news. They said, Bethany's fine, but Betty is, there's someone, she's been shot. And his reaction was just, we don't even own a gun. Like, okay. And it's weird because it just shows that he automatically was thinking that she did it to herself. Maybe because all of the kind of mental
depression.
Issues that she was going through. So sad.
Yeah. Definitely noted a strange reaction as well.
Right. Like, this guy's kind of weird, but okay.
It's hard to judge, though, in those situations, like, how someone should react, but noted.
Right. Maybe he was just, I mean, the guy is unemotional kind of all the way around, so I guess it's maybe not that surprising. I don't know. So he spoke with the police briefly over the phone. They were like, okay, where are you? Because, of course, he's probably the prime suspect. And he was like, I'm away on a work trip. Like, I'm in Minnesota at the moment. I do know that our family friend was there this morning. Maybe you could try talking to her. Maybe she knows something. And then after that, he called the Montgomery family, and Candy picked up. He told her that Betty was found, shot, and didn't make it. And she was completely shocked. And he did mention to her that he had spoken to the police, and just they might be in contact with you to ask you what you saw that morning to see if you have any, like, clues or information as to what happened. And the police report was gruesome. It was the first murder since the 1940s in Wiley, Texas, history. So it was a very quiet suburban town. Like, this thing does not happen there. Yeah, it didn't take them long to figure out what happened to her, to Betty Gore. A cop found a 3-foot-long wood-cutting axe concealed behind the freezer in the utility room, with the blade covered in blood and human hair.
God.
And at this point, they realize, oh, Betty has been a victim of an axe murder, which is one of the rarest of crimes.
Wow.
And the axe appeared to have been taken from a tool pegboard that was in the garage. She had been struck 41 times.
Jesus Christ.
Her head had been struck again and again. There were multiple chop-like wounds on her arms, running about 5 inches in length. And there were deep gaping wounds on her thighs and her shoulders. The right side of what was her face had gaping cuts, with the right eye completely obliterated and collapsed into what would have been her sinuses.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's, dude, brutal. She had major gash on the side of her head measuring about 10 inches in length, produced by what they could tell 7 separate chop wounds going through into the bone. which went into the cranial vault in her head. The very top of her head held a C-shaped wound, which indicated the axe had gotten stuck and the killer had to like twist it and wiggle it to remove it. And it was also produced, they could tell it was produced by someone standing over her and going like that, like chopping her from the top down.
Which is like some angry shit.
Yeah,
like personal angry shit.
There was a deep wound on the back of her neck as well, going into her shoulders. And as I said, the cops had never seen anything like this in their small town, and were convinced that and concerned about an axe murderer being on the loose. Also, strangely, there was a newspaper in the kitchen that was open to a review of The Shining, which had just been released, which, of course, as we know, is about a tormented writer who tries to kill his family with an axe.
Right.
So just like this weird little eerie
detail.
Yeah. So the police also noted that there were no signs of forced entry, indicating that Betty most likely knew her killer. There were signs, however, of a struggle in the utility room based on the blood smears on the freezer and on the walls. So at first they assumed this was done by a man just because the sheer strength it would take to swing the axe 41 times. I should put it, they stopped counting at 41, so we don't know exactly. God. But they're like, okay, 41 is enough. Okay, so they did find footprints that led to the bathroom. From what they could tell, they were from rubber-soled sandals, like flip-flops, that were a size 5. They determined that the fury of the attack showed a passionate relationship between the murderer and Betty, and the choice of weapon pointed towards an unmeditated attack. They also found a piece of key evidence, which was a clear thumbprint on the freezer door. I feel like the police did a decent job in this case. Normally we're kind of like, you know.
What the fuck?
Exactly. So, okay. We're getting somewhere. Alan Gore was among the first people to be questioned by the police. He returned immediately. He was asked about their marriage, which he said was good, although they were in a bit of a fight before he left on his work trip over the possible pregnancy, which, by the way, the autopsy revealed that she was not pregnant.
Okay.
Which it's like, okay, I guess that's...
It's somewhat of a relief.
Right,
I guess.
Right. But he did have a very extremely solid, like he was definitely not there. I guess, I mean, he could have done it when they left, but then again, Candy had seen her, so.
Right. True, yeah. And I'm sure they have like somewhat of a time of death too.
So, yeah, he mentioned that things were good, which it's like, okay. Were they? I guess they were better, but were they good? Maybe not. They also asked him if he had ever had an affair, which he replied never. But he did mention that Betty had an affair when they lived in New Mexico. He was away on a work trip, and she had a one-night stand.
Betty?
And it's also, yes, Miss Betty Gore. Alan said that he returned, and she confessed immediately. But it was almost like she was saying it in a way where it was to punish him, like, look what I had to go do. This is what he's saying.
Because you were away type of thing.
Right. This just happened because you were gone type of thing, which.
Look what happens when you leave.
Right. Like, try to make him feel guilty, because he just seemed kind of unbothered by her emotions, which probably would only make her even more frustrated. Like, when someone doesn't take your emotions seriously, like, and it just stinks because the way he and other people portray her is just like this nagging kind of housewife who's just mopey all the time. And I mean, I don't know,
there's probably so much more to her. It's probably a lot to do with the times.
Exactly. So it's just kind of interesting and sad.
Yeah,
for sure. Now, there was a 5-year-old girl across the street who they talked to ask if she saw anything, because she would often play in the front yard, and she just said that she saw Candy Montgomery leave around 11 a.m., or who they could identify as Candy Montgomery. Now, at this point, Candy was brought in for questioning, and she explained that Illicit Gore had slept over the night before, and they had spoken and agreed that Illicit could sleep over for a second evening. However, Candy did have to stop by to get her swimsuit for a swimming lesson. And then after that, she went to a Target in Plano to pick up Father's Day cards, and then back to church to pick up the kids from Vacation Bible School. And the family later went on to see the opening of The Empire Strikes Back with Alyssa and the kids, and then she stayed the night with them again.
Okay. It's kind of funny. I'd never imagined Target being in the 1980s. I don't know why. It seems like...
Right. It's like, what was it like? Like, did they get sucked in like we do?
Right. Did they have the red shopping carts at the time? Like, I have questions.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It just seems like one of the more modern stores for some reason. I have no good reason for that.
No, I hear ya. For sure. It's like you see a lot of old pictures of Walmart, I feel.
And that feels right.
Right, that feels right. But Target, I feel like Target officially became like cool in the early 2000s, right?
I feel like I was there for that.
Yeah, for the rise of Target.
Right, yeah.
All right, so early the next morning, the lead detective was woken up by a call from Alan Gore saying that he had lied about something and he wanted to clear his conscience of it. And he told them that...
Alan.
Right, Alan. He told them that he actually did, in fact, have an affair, and it was with Candy Montgomery.
Oh, and he's throwing her under the bus about having an affair.
Right. Like, well, she had an affair.
Right, not me, though.
Me? Never.
Yeah. Okay.
He said that one evening after a volleyball match, Candy had got into his car and calmly asked him if he wanted to have an affair. And the affair was very meticulously planned, as both of them did not want to divorce their respective spouses, but found themselves unsatisfied sexually within their marriages. So, now the question is, was it a coincidence that the last person to see Betty Gore alive had also been sleeping with her husband?
And I wonder if that's why he, called the police, too, if he's having that thought.
Things that make you go, So, the police brought in Candy several more times for questioning where she was fingerprinted, but she did refuse a polygraph test. Okay. She initially denied the affair, but eventually admitted to it, but still insisted that Betty was alive when she had left the Gore household the morning of Friday, June the 13th.
We love that she got fingerprinted, too, because we know they have that fingerprint, so that should be conclusive one way or the other.
Exactly. So police were still very suspicious, and they started to ask church members, I guess while they're investigating the fingerprint and such. They asked church members about Candy's behavior that day. They noted that she did say when she left the church, because the kids, of course, were at Vacation Bible School that morning, that she was going to Betty's to pick up the swimsuit and that she had a few more errands to run. When she came back, she did seem a little flustered. She was gone longer than she said she was going to be, which was pretty unlike her. And she was wearing sneakers instead of her usual flip-flops.
I feel like I've heard flip-flop before in this tale.
Exactly. Them damn flip-flops. So the police, their suspicions were confirmed when Candy's fingerprints came back as a match for the one on the freezer door, and that was enough for them to arrest her. This was 13 days after the murder was committed.
It's giving Crime Nelia Street. There's so many 13s.
I know, right? During the strip search, they found a cut on her forehead, like the top of her hairline, and bruising on her back and legs, and she also had a small gash on her toes. The judge set the bail at $100,000, and she was shortly released on bail. She decided to retain the counsel of a lawyer named Don Crowder, who the Montgomerys were actually very close with. They knew him from church. And What was interesting is Crowder was hesitant to take on the case because he was actually but he was a personal injury lawyer. He had never done a criminal defense case. Like, that was not his area of expertise.
Right. Interesting that they would want him.
I know, but Candy insisted on, she was like, no, I want you to represent me. He was kind of like feisty, I guess.
Okay.
They said, but she insisted on it. So he's like, okay, if you insist. And being so close with the Montgomerys, he was just determined to win this case and get Candy's name cleared. However, Candy shocked him during one of their counsel sessions as they were just talking about what happened. And she was just like, well, I did it. And he's like, excuse me? She's like, yeah, I did it. So that was that.
These are all church-going folk, too.
Yes, church-going folk.
And I would imagine that they all went to the same church. Like, this lawyer probably has to have some kind of familiarity as well with Betty.
Mm-hmm. Yep, oof. Absolutely. It was a very close-knit kind of situation there. But it's like the Montgomerys were very popular. I'll go into that a little bit more as well.
Okay.
The trial was set in October, about 4 months from the killing. And during that time, Crowder advised Candy to lose a lot of weight, even though she was already thin to begin with, to just appear smaller and weaker and more docile, and change her appearance. She was very pretty.
So he's on board.
Oh yeah, he's all about it, dude. He's all about clearing her name, even though she was like, yeah, I did it.
Which I don't know what the lawyer code of ethics is in that situation, because you're still supposed to defend your client, you know.
Yeah, I'll definitely touch on that a bit too, his kind of angle at it. But yeah, he tells her to change her hair. She kind of has a perm, which is very trendy at the time. He tells her to straighten it, wear very modest clothing. And he also took her to several psychiatrists who, after a few sessions, uncovered some childhood trauma, which would come into play during the trial. And in the pre-trial, where they're addressing the jury and everything, Crowder actually shocked the jury and the prosecution as well by just simply stating Candy Montgomery killed Betty Gore, but it was in self-defense. That's the angle they're going with this. Okay. And so they were expecting it to be trying to prove that Candy didn't do it, and the last thing they expected was for them to admit that she did it, but then just be like, no, it was self-defense. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the trial began. Numerous witnesses were brought up on the stand, including Alan Gore and Candy's husband, Pat. And this trial was like a circus. It was so publicized because it was this woman, ex-murderer, and all this. Candy, people did not like Candy, for good reason, obviously.
Uh-huh. But it's two church-going moms too. That's pretty salacious.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Everyone though was waiting for the day that Candy was on the stand and for her questioning. And just a bit of a background about her. She was born Candace Wheeler on November the 15th, 1949 in Lucas, Texas. Her dad was a radar technician in the Army, and her childhood was spent kind of moving from base to base. So she was an Army brat. At 18 years old, she became a secretary at Texas Instruments, where she met an electrical engineer there named Pat Montgomery. They married shortly after and had 2 children, their daughter in 1973 and a son in 1974. And they went on to build a home, and they settled in Wiley, Texas in 1977. And they lived a pretty comfy life. Pat's salary at the time would be equal to $360,000 a year in this day and age. So they were living good, right? Yeah. And Candy was someone who just always seemed put together, and she was just very outgoing and fun-loving. She was very perky. She was attractive. Also, her friend said that she was very concerned with like how people viewed her, like the kids going to church, like their hair had to be perfect, their clothes,
Oh, wow.
like, you know, it's like one of those kind of situations. But she was just this cool mom. And they weren't particularly religious, but they mostly went to church for that social aspect, you know?
Right, and probably to, like, for the presentation of it as well.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I didn't even think about that too. Yeah, and they were very involved in the like activities there. Candy and Pat were on the choir along with Alan and Betty Gore, and then Candy was also on the volleyball team.
Oh, okay. Because Alan was on the volleyball team too, right?
He was, and funny you mentioned that because, well, her friend said that around 1978. Candy had begun to talk about how like bored she was within her marriage and how dissatisfied she was. Pat kind of, I guess like Alan in a way, was just very absent and didn't really pay her much attention. And she had blatantly told them, she's like, I'm gonna have an affair. I'm done. I'm just gonna do this. So she was like talking about it with her friends.
Right.
It's just so weird to calmly be like, you know what, I'm gonna have an affair.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely out of the norm these days, I would say. If you're doing it, it's pretty secretive usually. Not to a group of friends.
Right. And so it was during a church volleyball match one evening when Candy and Alan actually collided while playing. And Candy had told her friends that he smelled sexy. And it turned her on. Yeah, and her friends are like, what? So, like, he was like, you guys get really sweaty and stuff. Yeah.
The one who's also, like, an absent partner.
Right. It was just very strange. But she was like, yeah, I don't know if it's, like, pheromones or something, but that, like, smell of, like, sweat and his smell just, turned me on. So, later on that night, when everything was over, she said that she just got into his car and was like, I'm gonna get this off my chest, let me know if you want to have an affair. And then she kissed him and just left. So he's like, okay. So it's weird how they went about the affair. They actually met a couple of times before they even did anything to like discuss the pros and cons.
Okay.
And then they settled on
demure.
Yeah. Right. Super demure and like mindful.
It's yeah.
Very strange. And so then they like agreed. They're like, okay, let's do this. But Candy was like, there's going to be some rules. And I'm going to read off some of the rules she had. So these were like things that would just like end everything if they happened. So if
we love a boundary.
Right. Like she is determined for this to go her way. So these are very specific. One of them was if either one of them ever wanted to end the affair for whatever reason, it would end, no questions asked. If either one of them became too emotionally involved, the affair would end. All expenses.
And this was her demands. Yeah. If anyone became too emotionally involved.
Yep.
Okay.
All expenses, the food, the motel room, the gasoline, they would be shared equally. They would only meet on weekdays while their spouses were at work. Candy would be in charge of fixing lunch on the days they met so that they would have more time, because they figured they would need all of Alan's 2-hour lunch break.
And you've got to eat.
Right, you got to eat before you do the deed, I guess.
Or after, yeah.
Yeah. Candy would be in charge of getting the motel room. So she would like get everything set up so that they would have more time so he could just show up and do it.
Where are the children? I guess like so daycare the children, or something.
Yeah, like her youngest son would be in daycare and the children would be at school.
Oh, right.
Because this was like during the fall of like 1979 at this point.
Okay.
And also Betty's pregnant right now.
Shit, yeah. Jesus Christ.
They would also meet on a Tuesday or Thursday once every 2 weeks, and that was because Candy was free only on days when her little boy would attend, like, the daycare. So I guess it was Tuesday or Thursday is when he would be at daycare. So yeah, I just had to read off those rules because it was just very specific. And then they set an official date of when the affair would begin, which would be December the 12th, 1978. That's when it's going down. So they began the affair, and she said that the sex wasn't, like, super awesome, but they actually started to develop a friendship. Like, he would actually listen to her, and she would listen to him, and she would kind of, like, validate him on his feelings of resentment towards Betty, and he would validate her on her resentment towards Pat. So they kind of, like, developed this, like, bond.
Emotional attachment, one might say.
Exactly. And soon enough, Alan did start to feel guilty, especially because Betty was pregnant, and there were times where, like, Betty would actually, like, try to come on to him, but he would be so tired. He's already spent his emotional energy, which we know he has so little of, towards Candy.
Gross.
And, right? Ugh, I hate it. But yeah, he started to feel guilty, especially after Bethany was born. And he tried to break it off several times, but she just kept on convincing him to keep it going. And eventually...
It's giving Hamilton again.
You have to watch that.
It's so good. It's so good. Yeah. Sorry.
I feel like I know some of the songs because maybe I don't. I don't know. I'll probably recognize some of the songs because I hear them on, like, TikTok and stuff. So
I just, like, listen to it in my car on long drives, like, just the soundtrack. Well, the whole thing too is song. Like, a lot of times musicals, like, there's talking in between, you know, or operas, like, there's song and then talk and then song and talk. This thing is song, 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 song. It's so good.
Nice. Cool.
Sorry.
Yeah, I will definitely watch it. Eventually, after trying to break it off with Candy several times, he did convince her. Candy was heartbroken, but told him, okay, like, I won't bother you anymore. Let's just stay away from each other, whatever. Mm-hmm. Also, at some point, Pat, her husband, found a card from Alan, and he was, like, clued into the tryst as well. But nothing really, he was just kind of like, that sucks.
Sadly. Okay.
Right.
Moving on.
So, the morning of June the 13th, 1980 was a busy one for the Montgomery family. Candy and the kids had to be at Vacation Bible School, and Candy had also planned to run several errands, including buying Father's Day cards at the Target. And then, of course, later that night, the family planned to take the kids along with Alyssa, Betty's oldest daughter, to the movies to see The Empire Strikes Back. Just to recap.
That's what I can't stop thinking about is you came home to her daughter. You fucking monster. Like, how can you do that? Oh my God. Right. That's so horrific. She is also incomprehensible.
Oh, yeah. She's also there when Alan, because they have to drop off Alyssa. So she is there when Alan tells her that her mother is, he's like, Mommy's gone to heaven. She's not coming back. And Candy's just like, and she's like dropping off meals and stuff because, like, the church arranged for people to drop off, like, gross.
I wonder if Alan had a clue at that point, though, because he did call the cops and, like, confess.
Right.
But he probably wasn't sure.
He probably had some idea, maybe. I don't know.
He was probably thinking about it, but, like, hoping it wasn't true.
Right.
Type of thing.
Because how could Candy do that?
Right. Like, they were friends, too.
Exactly. And then just to also recap, the girls asked to have another sleepover at the Montgomery house, which meant that Candy would have to take Alyssa to her swimming lesson in the morning. And since she didn't have her suit, Candy made plans to stop by Betty's to pick it up. Mm-hmm. And so on the stand, this is what Candy said transpired when she arrived at Betty's. So she said that Betty seemed fine. She had just poured a cup of coffee and was sewing something. They talked about her and Alan's upcoming trip to Switzerland, when Betty suddenly asked, "Are you having an affair with Alan?" Candy denied it, but Betty pressed the question, and Candy finally said yes, but it was a very long time ago, and it's not happening anymore. It's over. She said that Betty calmly walked away and went into the garage and returned with an axe and just set it down. And Candy was a little alarmed, but she tried to resume the conversation about Alyssa's swimming lesson and said she needed the suit. Betty said it was in the utility room and to go grab it, and she will go grab her a towel. She said that she never thought Betty would hit her with an axe. That was just not even in her mind at the moment. So as Candy was about to leave, she apologized to Betty about the affair, which seemed to kind of flip a switch in Betty. She said that Betty picked up the axe and jumped towards her, shouting, "You can't have him. I'm having his baby. You can't have him." She just started saying that over and over and over. And Candy was saying, "I don't want him. I don't want him. It's over."
Okay.
Yeah. So during the struggle, Candy said that she was hit on the head and the foot with the axe, which the police noticed the cut on her forehead and her foot. So that matches up. So they were kind of struggling with the axe. She got control of the axe and struck Betty like in the back, and Betty fell to the floor.
Okay.
And she saw a lot of blood.
That's enough.
Right. So she's like, okay. And when she tried to leave, all of a sudden Betty like got up and pulled her back in. And there was a continued struggle. So as they were kind of struggling, Betty did something odd. She went shh, or she's like shh. I don't know, because they were screaming and yelling, and Betty went shh. And this triggered something in Candy. And she said that she went into a blind, like, rage. Like, she was almost, like, outside of her body watching it happen. Like, she dissociated or something. But she pretty much said that she started swinging the axe until she physically couldn't anymore.
Wow. Over a shh.
Right.
That's interesting to, like, include in the story. Because I feel like you didn't have to. I don't know. Maybe that's the best way for them to explain the 41 whacks. But it doesn't...
You're on to something there.
Okay.
Wait till you hear how they explain it.
Oh, gosh.
It's like, okay. So after she hacked her up until she physically couldn't anymore, she then tried to clean up. She tried to wipe the freezer, and then she took a shower. She like hopped in the shower, but she had like all of her clothes on. And she realized she quickly had to like get to church. So she went home, washed her clothes, and cut up her flip-flops that had blood all over them. Did she go home
wet?
Yeah. She like literally hopped in the shower and rinsed all the blood off as best as she could and went home. And yeah, she cut up her bloody flip-flops and then had to run back to church. And people are like, "Oh, you know, you missed all of Vacation Bible School. Like, what happened?" And her excuse was that her and Betty had got to talking and she lost track of time. So that made her like all late. So that's what she said happened. And then after she's on the stand, Crowder brought up this, one of the psychiatrists, his name was Dr. Faison, that she saw pre-trial, who he was known as a defense expert for criminal cases, and he would often argue in favor of insanity, get these people off. So get this. He examines her under hypnosis, and he discovered through this hypnosis that when she was 6 years old, she had cut her head on a piece of glass. She was bleeding pretty heavily, and she needed stitches. So she was super scared and overwhelmed in the hospital and just could not stop crying and being kind of loud, where her mother was embarrassed about how loud she was being, and people were like all staring, and she kept on telling her to shh.
Okay, so now I see why the shh is tying in.
Yeah. So when Betty Gore shushed her, he said it brought back this flood of repressed rage that caused her to have a violent dissociative reaction, which caused an out-of-body experience where Candy was not fully aware of what she was doing. It was just this blind rage.
Just how convenient when you are the one who gets to tell the story of the person you murdered.
Exactly. It boggles my mind how... Well, okay. We'll get there. It's so crazy. So these were the closing statements of the lawyers. Don Crowder, Candy's lawyer, said she was aware of doing the act but didn't comprehend what she was doing. I know that there are things in this case that still bother you. I'd be a fool not to recognize that. How in God's name could one human being inflict that kind of punishment Candy Montgomery inflicted on another? Yep. Well, I've got an answer. When Betty Gore came to Mrs. Montgomery, she was no longer a human being. She was an animal. She turned into something less than a human being. She was an animal in search of prey, and she was ready to attack.
That's not very scientific.
Right.
Now she's still human.
Right. Exactly.
No, literally.
Yeah. And the prosecutor, at this point, they don't know what to do. But he ended up saying, like, his closing statement was pretty much, you're not going to swing an axe, whether it's 1 time, 28 times, or 41 times, and not know what you're doing. And that was, like, kind of that with the closing statement. So it's like, oof.
Damn.
Right. So, although this was Crowder's first criminal defense case, I guess he didn't do a terrible job because after 8 days of testimony, it only took the jury 2 hours to come back with a verdict of not guilty.
God damn it.
Reporters said that it was just like a shocked silence in the courtroom. People were stunned. Even the judge was like, what? After the trial, Candy would continue to play this victim role. She told reporters in an interview, "It seems so pointless. I didn't want him. I kept trying to tell her that, and she put me into this position. It's caused me to lose everything that is important to me, and that really hurts."
Oh my God. Yuck.
Yeah.
Is she dead now? Tell me she's dead. Sorry, that's dark.
Oh, girl. No.
No?
I will also get there.
Damn.
So there is also still the question of how Betty learned about the affair or if she ever really did. Alan Gore said he had never come clean to her and admitted about it, and she had never hinted at it or brought it up. And also, coincidentally, in a letter to her parents, postmarked on the day of her death, Betty talked about her close friend, Candy Montgomery, and how she had been so helpful for helping out with Alyssa while Betty was going through PPD.
No way. No way she knew, man.
Right. So Mr. Alan Gore moved on quickly. He began a relationship with the choir pianist a few weeks after the murder.
Come on, dude.
And they got married a few months after the trial.
Even though he wasn't the one to, like, do it, but, like...
Right. Just to also move on that quick. It just seemed like he's so unaffected by everything.
Yeah.
You know?
Which, yeah, just feels strange.
Right. Like, he seemed very calm on the stand when he was talking about everything. He kind of painted Candy in, like, this really good light.
Ew.
And also, it's like Candy's lawyers, they portrayed, once again, Betty as this kind of like vindictive, confrontational woman.
Jesus.
And they like emphasized the fact that she was much larger than Candy when she really wasn't. And it was just like really gross, everything they did to get the jury to have sympathy for Candy.
Ew.
Because at the end of the day, that's how they got the jury to come back with not guilty.
Makes me so mad. Those children don't have a mother because of this person, and she faced nothing because of it.
And also, when he remarried, the stepmother did not get along with the daughters. And it ended up coming to a point where Betty's parents adopted them and raised them. So Alan
What
pretty
a
much just
fucking
like handed them
monster.
off. Yeah.
Ew, Alan.
I know. And actually, a Dallas newspaper interviewed Bethany Gore, who is obviously now an adult, in the year 2000. And she said, "I just wish I knew what really happened because she is the only one who knows for sure," talking about Candy.
Yes. Those poor kids, man.
I know.
To have to, like, lose their mother in such a traumatic way, and then also their dad is just a piece of shit, too, obviously, and doesn't even care.
I know. Well, the Montgomery family moved to Georgia after the acquittal, and changed their last names to Candy's maiden name, a Wheeler. You won't believe this. Candy obtained a therapist license in Georgia under her maiden name as well.
Up.
Yep, in 1996, and worked with her daughter as a mental health counselor, and is still alive to this day.
No. No, someone take that back. Are you kidding me?
I wish I was.
She cannot be guiding people's mental health. I disagree.
I dissent.
Disagree. I dissent. Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
That's a doozy.
I wish I had better news. Yeah.
I say that about everyone, but everyone really is.
At the end of it, it's just like, are you kidding me? Like, how did this?
I just hate that she didn't face any time for that. She's just out making money as a therapist. Like,
right. Not even for manslaughter. Nothing. Just like not guilty.
Right.
You're free to go.
It ain't right.
Yeah. So that is the story.
Poor Betty. Poor Betty's kids.
Poor Betty.
Well, happy stuff. As my name suggests, things have been a little quiet in the Swiftie community. But I did see a theory. Did you see that Taylor... I think it was Taylor Nation. It's like the second post that isn't pinned. It's from the All Too Well music video.
Her and that red hair, man.
I know. And Nikki King made a video where she said, "Oh, well, this video of Taylor seems so random because the other ones are like the other actors from the video." To me, it's standing out as random seems like it's not because it's from the same music video that all the other ones are. So, like, I didn't at all think, oh, how random that there's a photo of Taylor in a Instagram post from Taylor Nation. But I guess some people looked at it that way, including Nikki King. And she's the expert, not me. So I will refer to her opinion.
Yeah.
But she, like, looked into it. And apparently the time signature on the music video, your face already, I love it. Is 12/13 of the photo that Taylor's in. So
wow. Okay.
So maybe coincidence, right? And 13s, and maybe coincidence. Come on. Maybe not. I tell you what, it's so funny because I'm always like, I know something's happening, but December 13th, I've never been so sure.
Dude, something is happening. Like,
I do think it's gonna be debut. I don't think it's gonna be Reputation or Karma, which I think Karma is more likely than Reputation for it, but I think it's gonna be debut.
I could see that because it is her birthday. It is a Friday this year, which is like a holy day, Friday the 13th. We have where was it in the little exhibit in LA that we saw December the 13th? Yes. Or was it okay? I wasn't sure if it was that, or there was that like interactive video where we went in through the Midnight's room into the Tortured Poets department. Remember that thing online? I couldn't remember if it was there or if it was like in person like that. So
yeah, it was the LA pop-up. And then there was also something in the Time magazine, like, collage thing that came out. And I can't remember exactly what Nikki King said, but something about that also pointed to like December. So.
And the 12
yeah.
on the necklace.
Yep.
And, well, also, though, I just remembered that she was wearing another necklace that people couldn't tell exactly what it was. And it was actually a gift from a fan. And the fan was like, no, that necklace is from me. I made it for her. And it's
that's so cool.
T, but it's in the Reputation style font.
Ooh.
So I'll have to find that post and send it to you.
Okay.
Because I don't know, man. I don't know. But I do agree, like, it would be... Right. But I can definitely see now debut being, on the 13th. But Reputation.
It's so sad that we're like debut, because we're also excited about debut. It's just like we want Reputation.
I actually
so bad.
I want debut. I really want debut to be last because we'll have already focused on Reputation, because like I feel like if debut comes before, we'll be like, okay, but when's Reputation?
That's a good point. Yeah, like we're still like we can't let go of Reputation till we get it.
Right.
It's not our fault.
I want to. I admittedly like debut is probably the album I've listened to the least.
Yeah.
Like I know the hits on it, but I mean, I've listened to the whole thing. It's not like my one that I go back to listen to all the time.
I think a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah. But I really want to fall like in love with it, and I think hearing her sing it now would be so cool. And the vault tracks.
Yeah.
I think that will,
I think, because it's like Speak Now I didn't love either. That's probably my least favorite until Taylor's version came out, and I freaking love it. Is that's I Can See You, right? Is Speak Now?
Yeah. I love that song. It's so funky.
So good. Yeah.
It is. Yeah. Also, it's like, it's so weird that debut is just completely missing from the tour.
It is. Yeah.
I feel like we've talked about this plenty of times, but it's just weird.
It's strange for sure. And I understand there's like what can she do, a 4-hour show? Like she's doing a lot as it is, but still there could have been ways to work it in and have like shorter bits of other eras. Like like Red. I feel like Red could be, I think everyone could agree that Red could be a little shorter and maybe a debut song or two in there.
Exactly, for sure.
So,
but what can you do?
Right. And then Taylor adjacent, I feel like Chapel Roan for some reason is Taylor adjacent. I can't really explain that. But our girl's going through a lot. I feel like Chapel right now. I think did you hear that she just canceled like a show coming up because she said that she's just feeling overwhelmed. And I think it's all this like political stuff going on. I feel like she needs some PR training, and she got famous so quick, and I can totally like appreciate her being so real and genuine with us. But when you have a platform of that size and you are influencing that many people, I feel like you do kind of need training on how to talk to those people. And I feel like she's kind of gotten herself in like a little bit of a sticky situation, just because she maybe wasn't as eloquent as she wanted to be with some of the things that she was saying. I don't think she means anything wrong, and I think she's like still on the right side of things, but she's just not saying it very well.
I agree. It definitely, I feel for her. At the same time, it's like, it is pretty disappointing to hear her equivocating these two people when that's not how it should be at all. But
especially because it doesn't help the causes that she says she's so strongly for. So yeah, that's kind of tough for me to reconcile, I guess.
For sure. And I'm sure, like, in a way, it's, like, scary because she is probably realizing, like, oh, I do have, like, this power and this influence. And it definitely seems not... she's not handling it like in a healthy necessarily. I don't know. I'm not trying to like be an armchair psychologist here, but it just seems like it's really affecting her negatively, the way she's very angry with what she's saying, and then telling people, oh, you just fell for the clickbait. It's like, no, girl, like that's what you said.
Right.
You said
like
it. It's not out of context.
Right. Like, I do feel like a little accountability should be taken. And I do like that she came out and said, fuck Trump, and, like, this is who I'm voting for, but, like, there's some things I don't agree with, like the Palestine stuff, like, and her not endorsing the Kamala, I can kind of understand because of the Palestine stuff, too, but, like, to sit there and say something like there's wrong on both sides, just, like, I feel like the side that she needs to win to support her causes has a huge problem with voters not showing up, and for her to say that is almost discouraging those voters to show up, and
exactly,
it's just not good. But you just have to recognize like the power that you do have in those scenarios when you have so much influence over people.
She also was like, I can't put my brand and my entire project behind this one person, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, dude, no one is asking you to. Like, by voting for someone, it doesn't mean that you agree with every single policy that they have.
Right.
And I heard someone explain it like voting is like when you have to like travel on public transportation, like you take several buses to get in the direction you want to go. There's usually just not one bus that you have to take that will get you to where you need to go. You just have to head in that direction, you know, and voting is like that.
That's a great analogy. Yeah. I feel like she is really stuck on like the word endorsement too. And she keeps saying like, you know, what really matters is voting, not endorsing, and maybe she's just getting
voting
a lot of
small.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not that time right now. Like,
it's not, no. Like, and we kind of need that big vote now because that's what we lost is at the federal level. We're losing rights. So, like, that's kind of what we need to hop in and try to fix at the moment, I feel like.
For sure. For sure.
But yeah, she keeps, I almost feel like she's like throwing shade at other people who have endorsed candidates when she's saying that. She's like, it's the vote that matters, not endorsing. And like, obviously, but if you're endorsing someone, you're probably voting for I mean, chances are real high.
It's semantics, okay?
I don't know the probabilities, but
Right. And I guess it's like, it's not just because Taylor is obviously voting for Kamala. It's the way she put her like, take a play out of her book, I guess, because she like literally did it in the best way possible.
It was so good. Yeah.
Like encouraging, saying what she's going to do and why, not even saying anything to try to persuade people to vote her way, saying, do your own research, and whoever's policies you agree with the most, you vote for them.
But vote. Yeah.
I feel like just tensions are high right now. Like,
elections are scary here now. Yeah.
For sure.
Well, that wasn't much of a palate cleanser at the end, was it?
Whoops.
Okay, so follow us on TikTok at CrimeNeliaST Podcast. Follow us on Instagram at CrimeNeliaStreet, or send us an email at CrimeNeliaST@gmail.com. Bye, clowns.
Bye, clowns.